Hello, I'm so excited to do this interview today and do this chat today. As you guys know, our purpose of One Starfish is to change one life at a time and make a big difference out there. So Rebecca and I actually met on Instagram, which is pretty cool. She's actually a mindset coach from the UK, which you're going to love her accent. She came from the corporate world and actually launched her first business January 2020, which is a great time to launch just before the pandemic hit. She has little ones running around, so if they come in, that's going to be part of it. She's really passionate. She's a mindset coach, and she's really passionate about helping people with her mindset, and that's what got her into that world. She's also built an IG following. Make sure you follow her. I'll make sure I post that in the notes. But she built an IG following over 10,000 people in about a year, which is pretty impressive. So I'm really excited to get to know this lady. So go ahead, Rebecca, tell us a little bit about your journey from not corporate America, corporate UK into running an entrepreneur business.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that introduction. So my background, like I said, is in the corporate world. So I have been with the same organisation for over 11 years before I started my own business in January 2020. And I am in the sales industry. So I head up a large sales organisation, which includes a lot of development of people, a lot of leadership skills, obviously sales skills and all of that kind of stuff. And to be successful in that industry, as you'll probably know yourself, to be successful in any sort of sales, you have to personally develop. Obviously, it can be really, really challenging. Prior to that, I've done loads of sales jobs. I've done door-to-door knocking. I was doing selling gas and electric in stores and things like that. So one point I was selling toilet roll to businesses. So I have literally sold pretty much everything, and probably like a load of the worst products that you could probably want to sell in the worst, like obviously environment as well, door knocking in the wind and rain and things like that. And obviously you have to personally develop and you have to develop a thick skin and you have to build your resilience. So luckily with that got me through and I was being successful in the corporate world. I've always had a burning desire to do more. Since a kid, I've always wanted my own business. So as an example, in school, I studied business studies, things like that. I then went off on a bit of a tangent and started doing fashion in university. And then I brought it back and started doing business. And I was still in a bit of a limbo. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I just knew that I was not utilising my full potential. And it was a coincidence for me that I actually saw someone working online. And I thought, maybe I can work online. And that's when I started my online business. And people look at my Instagram now and they'll ask me for tips and things. And I actually coach people as well in terms of their online businesses. Not as much as the mindset coaching, but I do a bit of business coaching and social media coaching as well. But it really makes me laugh because when I first ever started a business, I literally had no clue how to use social media. I didn't even have a Facebook account. Obviously, recording podcasts and stuff were way off. I didn't even have a clue that I was even going to be doing anything like that. And then launched a business in January 2020 in the travel industry. And then in March, we went into lockdown in the UK. Obviously not the best time, and all the planes are grounded and all the world stopped and all the businesses closed. So it was a bit wild. My little girl wasn't in nursery or anything because she was just 2 at the time when I started that business. She's 4 now. And she was obviously at home, a solo parent. And yeah, it was just a bit wild. But luckily for me, because I'd already developed that skill in terms of my mindset, in terms of my resilience and things, it was seeing me through. And I thought, well, the best entrepreneurs, this is something I've not told you yet. The best entrepreneurs I saw online during that time were the people who were putting themselves out there a lot in any sort of industry. So as an example, in the beauty industry, people couldn't do the beauty stuff. I saw people who had like aesthetics companies online and stuff just constantly promoting. So I thought, well, this is obviously the way forward. Just getting the word out there. I'm sure people will still book travel and things for the future. And I just stuck it out. And during that time, I also saw that people were struggling. So it was a bit of a combination of, I wanted to grow my business. I knew I needed to push myself out of my comfort zone and started using social media as a business, not just a tool for pictures of my kid and meals out with my friends. And then from that I then started doing more live video. I started promoting myself on Instagram. I was terrible. All my videos from when I started doing my lives are all still on my page, just to show the progression. That everyone starts somewhere. I was literally petrified the first time I did a live video. And then because I knew people were struggling, I thought, maybe I can talk about mindset. And I started putting out mindset tips and really helping people throughout the lockdown period. And then I started getting so many messages of gratitude and things like that. And then that's what made me think, there must be something in this. I wonder if I actually scaled it and actually did that as a business as well, how many people would I be able to reach? And that's when I saw big growth in my social media, since I started focusing more on mindset. I launched my own podcast, It Starts With Heart, quite recently as well, in the last few months, which again has been a success. And I think for me, the biggest thing, so I'm really, really passionate about building people's confidence and self-belief. Like I said, I do a lot of mindset coaching, I do business coaching and social media coaching and all of that other stuff as well. But the biggest thing for me, and what I had to learn myself from working online, was that you can be and do whatever you wish, despite the negative opinions of other people and despite the negative thoughts that are in your own mind, because they don't really exist. They're just thoughts. They're not real. And I knew that it's not a common thing, or it's more common now, because obviously people like me putting ourselves out there. But at the time, it wasn't common in the UK for people to be doing live videos about mindset. It was seen as a bit weird. Still up until last year, people thought it was a bit weird and quirky, and wasn't something that, like, oh, she's got so much confidence, and other people were a bit taken back. And I had actually lost followers as well as gained followers. And it was just really, really interesting to go through that as well. But yeah, it's been wild. But now to this point, I'm really, really blessed to now have a load of one-to-one coaching clients who I mentor on a one-to-one basis. I'm still doing my Instagram lives and still doing my podcasts. I have a Facebook group community as well, which again is quite new. That's only been launched a few weeks ago. And I'm just putting out as much value as possible. What will be happening in 2022 is I will launch my group coaching program, and just trying to put as much value out there as possible and just help as many people as possible. Part of the reason why I'm so happy to be on this podcast with you as well, because I'm sure that you can agree that the biggest challenge for an entrepreneur, so if anyone who is stepping into entrepreneurship or brand new into entrepreneurship, or thinking about it, the biggest challenge they're going to face, in my opinion, is putting yourself out there and getting the exposure. You can be doing loads and loads of work and have the best intentions to help as many people as possible. But if no one knows who you are, then it's going to be a bit of a challenge to, if you're passionate about helping as many people as possible, if that makes sense. So a long way of saying that's why I'm a mindset coach.
That's so awesome, man. That story is incredible. So what kind of tip would you give? Because like you said, mindset is, well, it's huge. And especially this last couple of years, a lot of people have been struggling with mindset. So it's really neat that you put so much value out there and are able to help people. What would you say is one thing? So if someone's listening to this, they're like, man, I don't know if I can do what you're doing. Like, I would love to provide value. Like you said, I would love to make a difference out there. But I'm super scared. And I don't know, like, what have I got that like isn't out there? What makes me different? What makes me special? What's something that helped you at the beginning when you were questioning all the same things that, you know, I guess gave you that strength to just continue on and to do the work and get yourself out there?
Yeah, absolutely.
What kind of a book you read or podcast or a thought process, or what kind of helped you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the main thing is being a growth person in myself. So I have always invested in personal development. So if someone is wanting to put more value out there in terms of business or in terms of finance or in terms of mindset or anything like that, they have to develop themselves. So that's the first thing. And it doesn't matter if you are 30 or 40 years old or older and you've never ever read a book in your life. It doesn't matter. There's so much content out there. There are YouTube videos. If you don't like reading, you can listen to podcasts. There are audio books and things, and obviously you can pick up your own book and obviously read a book. And I suppose the biggest thing is just that. The second thing is, a few years ago I was recommended a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. And now for me, it's quite a basic book because obviously I'm well past that now. But a few years ago, before even starting my online business, there was a few things that I wanted to do and I was petrified of doing these things. It was things like public speaking, stuff like that. I wasn't very good at it. And it was actually my friend who recommended it. She said, I think this book will change things for you. So the first thing is just understand that you need to develop yourself and build your own confidence. The second thing is, if you've not read or listened to that book, get that book, because it just shows you just to lean into it. And then the third thing I'd say is just get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that is so important. There's a difference between being uncomfortable in a sense, like something doesn't align with your values. I'm not saying do something that doesn't align with you or makes you uncomfortable in a negative way, but anything that you feel uncomfortable that you know is going to progress you forward, either in your business or your own personal development, I think it's really, really important to just reel ahead into that face on. And that's something that I really help my coaching clients with. And it might be the smallest little thing, and some people are a little bit further on where they're doing a lot bigger things, but it ultimately is. I used to say, put yourself out your comfort zone at least once a week. Whereas now I say to people, try and do it every day. Just little things. And it doesn't matter where you are. Like, you might be a really introverted, quiet person, and you might go to the corner shop. We have corner shops in the UK. I don't know what you have in the US. We have corner shops in the UK. And some people will go in and they'll never speak to the shopkeeper. They'll not even speak to anybody. They won't smile. They won't say hello because they're so scared. And I've actually helped people on a one-to-one basis who've literally said, I can't even go to the shop. I'm not petrified of speaking to people, or I'm that unconfident with my weight, or whatever it is. And even if it's just saying hello when you don't normally say hello, it can be as little as that, just to start getting used to the feeling. I still do things every single day that make me want to throw up every single day. And I have to. And I just think it's so important. And even just in the last couple of years, from really doing that through my live videos, like, honestly, like I said, if you look at I don't know why I'm telling people to go to the start of my live videos, but they were rubbish. They were not good at all. I was petrified. I had loads of notes. I remember sitting there in a car. I'd been out with my friend for the day and my little girl, and I had my little like notes, and I was like, oh my God, I need to practice what I'm saying. And I was sat there petrified in the car, just like trying to read it. She's like, don't worry. And there's loads of times where I fluff up what I'm doing and do something wrong. And now, if you listen to my podcast or if you watch my live videos, I purposely don't do things perfect. And that's part of it as well. So I feel like I'm giving away loads of goodies here. But I suppose the other thing with that is, in regards to feeling uncomfortable, just do it as much as possible and just start somewhere, even if it's not perfect. So many people procrastinate as well. Again, people who, if you've got an idea, if you've got a burning desire, or you've got an underlying passion to be doing more or providing value in some sort of way, you have to put yourself out there. There's no other way to do it. So you just have to get really uncomfortable and just start speaking to people about what you're doing.
That sounds so much like Napoleon Hill. I'm just rereading his book, part of it there. And that's what he talks about, like having that definite desire, that burning desire. And then, you will find the way to make it happen if you actually have that burning desire to actually make it happen. So
absolutely. And that's the thing. That's the thing as well. So successful people leave clues. Everything that I've learned, like, yes, I put my own spin on it now because I'm more confident. I know what I'm doing. I know who I want to help. I know what I want to do. I'm obviously a lot further now than what I was a few years ago. But people have usually done something similar to what your idea is, unless obviously you're a really like out there entrepreneur who's come out with a wacky idea and they're going to be making millions or something off like some like wild new product. Then that's a completely different thing. I've not done that. Another thing I always say on my podcast is I'm very, very average. So at school, I don't know what the grades are like in the US. When I was at school, we used to have A's, B's, C's, D's, E, F, G. And I was a C. C's bang average. So I just got C's in everything. In every single exam at school, I just got bang average grades. I wasn't special. I'm not special now. The only thing I do is I just have I'm really, really passionate about self-development. It's the same as brushing my teeth in the morning. So how some people can't skip the gym, or most people shouldn't be skipping brushing the teeth or making the bed or putting the knickers on in the morning or the panties, whatever. If you are investing in personal development, it should be a daily thing. And that's another thing as well, just get addicted. Like if I get up a bit late, like if I give myself a lie-in, which I did today because it's Boxing Day, and I give myself the first lie-in that I've had in weeks. I'm someone who's literally 5 a.m. club or 6 a.m. latest, and I'm getting up, and I had a lie-in today. So I didn't do my usual morning routine in terms of self-development first thing in the morning, and I can really feel the difference just from not doing it. I've done it since then as the day's gone on, because it's a bit like my head's like mash. It's all mushed up, because it's like when you hammer the gym loads and then you don't go for a week. That's what it's like for me if I don't personally develop, and I'm sure that you'll be the same. And there's probably a lot of people who are listening to this who are like, yeah, that's me. And if that's not you and you're really inconsistent with it, you need to be doing it consistently, because a lot of the stuff I say is stuff that I've read or listened to and things, and I've just span it into my own, and obviously my own experiences, which I'm now able to help people with.
That's so good. What is your morning routine? I mean, ideally, I'd love to hear, what is your morning routine? And then do you have a night routine also before bed?
Yeah, so my first morning routine, when I used to do it, I listened to Hal Elrod's audio book, Miracle Morning, and I've also read the 5 a.m. Club. So both of them I've done multiple times. So my first routine before I launched 2 businesses was I was doing that in the morning. So I was getting up really early. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I was spending a good hour just focusing on myself, writing down my goals, doing my affirmations, doing some sort of personal development and all of that. And obviously at one point I didn't have a child, so it was easy to do that in the morning before work and stuff like that. Since launching 2 businesses, and obviously Hallie being very wild, as you know, before we started recording this, she just came running in, and now it's a bit shorter, which obviously I'll talk you through it. And then also because at this moment in time, I'm in serious hustle mode as well. That's another thing. So if you look at my social media, not so much over Christmas, obviously I know this would probably going to be out in the future, but if you look at my social media, I'm probably working. I work a lot, and it's because I still have so many more people who I want to help and so much that I want to do. So I have to literally get as much done in the morning as well before Hallie wakes up. But the first thing I'll always do is fill my own cup. So the first thing I'll do is my alarm will go off. I will not snooze my alarm. If I'm really, really, really tired, like genuinely really tired, what I'll do first of all, and I'm not really advising this to everyone, what you should do is get up straight away, shower, brush your teeth and do all that. Obviously, I know, especially if people are parents, lack of sleep and things like that, are working really busy jobs. I understand it's not always that easy to do that. So I'm a bit of a realistic person at the same time. If you struggle, what I always do is I have saved in my phone just 2 short videos, which I just change from time to time. So one of them, or sometimes I'll listen to a podcast. So I don't know if you've heard of it, Fearless Motivation. And they have loads of tracks on there of all different like songs and motivational speakers on there and stuff. So something like that, or a really short YouTube video for like 2 minutes, just to make me think, oh my gosh, like when I was literally getting hardly any sleep, you're talking like 3-4 hours sleep, again, not something that I advise people to do, but sometimes I go through short bursts of a lot of activity with my businesses. And when I was really, really tired, I'd literally just used to watch a really, really short video. So there's 2 ways how you can start. The first one is either have something prepared the night before that you're going to wake up and just put in your ears straight away. And then literally as soon as it's finished, you get up. Or as it's on, you start to stand up and things. The whole point is as quick as possible, you get up, you get in the shower, you brush your teeth, you get dressed. So that's the first thing that I do. The second thing is I come into this room and I get my notepad out and I start writing down all my goals. And I'll at least fill a page, and it'll be more like goals and affirmations as well. And sometimes, because obviously, like I said, I've been doing it for a while, so sometimes I'll switch it up. I suppose it just depends on what works for the person, but sometimes I'll do that. Other times I'll write some gratitude out and things like that. If I don't physically write it, I'll think about it when I'm in the shower or something. And then literally what I'll do from that is I will I've got like a big jug, which is like a 2-litre like jug. I just fill it up with water. And then I also have these big bottles as well. And what I'll either do is I'll drink either half my jug, which is a litre, or I'll drink a litre of this. And I do that first thing as well. So if I'm in bed, when I'm still listening to those videos, I'll drink a litre of water in bed. If I've got up straight away, I'll do it as soon as I've got sat down and I've wrote down everything, and that's just like a bottle of water then. And then it depends on my time. So that's my bare minimum that I'll do. is listening to something positive. And if I've already got up straight away, I'll listen to something positive whilst I'm in the shower and things. And then I'll write down my goals. I'll do my affirmations. I'll do my visualization as well. And it probably takes me about 45 minutes to do all of that. An hour if you include actually getting ready for the day. So my morning routine is probably still about an hour, but includes my shower and getting ready and stuff. And then in terms of the night time, again, it's a bit different depending on what my schedule's like, because I speak to people all over. Obviously time differences and stuff, because sometimes being among Zoom calls quite late. But what I'll always do the evening before, or if I know I'm going to have a busy night of calls, I will always look at my to-do list for the day after, and not enough to-do list, my calendar. I'll set 3 intentions for the day after, so I know exactly what I'm doing before I get up in the morning. Then I will make sure that I have done everything in terms of like a little bit of self-care. Like if I've got makeup on, I'll make sure I wash my face, brush my teeth, things like that. And then what I will try and do is wind down with a book. Or what I'll do is I'll listen to an audio book in bed, because sometimes my little girl, she doesn't like going in her own room. She thinks it's scary and stuff, or she says that it's scary, so she ends up in my bed. So if that happens, so the room's dark, I'll put an audio book on and it sends her to sleep because she thinks they're boring. So that's what I do. So at the minute, morning routine short and sweet. But the main thing I would say, if anyone needs help with the morning routine, is that they need to do something that's going to move them forward that they wouldn't normally have time to do in the busy day. So things like writing your goals down, you should be doing every day, or a minimum of 2 times a day. You should be doing your affirmations. You should be visualizing where you want to be, thinking big. You should be listening to personal development or reading or doing something. So as much as you can do in that time before you get up. And people say, oh, I'm not a morning person. Everyone can train themselves to be a morning person. And again, if people are just starting from that and they don't really know where to start, those 2 books, Miracle Morning and the 5 a.m. Club, really good. And I'd advise reading or listening to them multiple times as well. But yeah, hopefully that answered your question. It wasn't too confusing, because it sounded like I was a bit all over the place then. But
very straight. No, that was awesome. And I love that your daughter, sometimes is in bed with you and you're listening to audio. Like, this is so cool, because we're training the next generation this stuff, and they don't even know what's happening to them yet, because we were all trained by our subconscious and the people in our lives and where we came from. And we're sometimes having to reprogram that stuff. So now we're able to program our kids so they don't have to maybe reprogram themselves.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important. Like, I was quite lucky. I've had a good upbringing, but my family aren't natural entrepreneurs or really into personal development or anything like that. I'm probably, I don't like saying it, but I'm probably the most successful person. Well, no, I'm the most successful person in my family. I know that I've got the biggest growth mindset and things like that. So I've had to develop that myself. I didn't really have. I've got my work ethic from my parents and other amazing things. And the reason why I'm such a good mum is because of my parents. And they've added so much value to my life. But in terms of my business journey and my personal development journey, I've had to do that myself. And it's funny that you should say that, because my little girl's 4 now. She literally was 4 on the 15th of December. But even when I'm in the car, like if I'm taking her to preschool or anything like that, or if I'm going visiting anybody, I'll always have audio books on. And sometimes she's like, oh, this is boring, or can we put my song on? And sometimes I let her put a song on for a bit, and then I'll turn it off, and then I'll put my audio books on. But I have noticed the odd little thing that she says, where she picks it up. And I wish I'd wrote down the thing that she said the other day, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but the one that springs to my mind was one day when I picked her up from preschool, and the teacher said, oh, I really, really needed to tell you this. I can't remember what had happened now. So many things happen in my day. It just merges into one. But something had happened, which was positive. I think it was something like she got given a sticker or something like that. She got praised for something in preschool. And she said, oh, your mum is going to be jealous now because you've got a star. And she was like, no, my mummy will be happy because I'm happy. And it's just little things like that. And she said something the other day, and she was playing with her dolls. Like, she's got Barbies that she plays with a lot, and she's got like loads of teddy animals that she calls pets, and they've all got different names, or they've all got like 3 names between 20 of them, like Bella, Spicy and Sarah or something like that, and they're all called the same names. But she'll be talking with them, and sometimes I'll be like, what are you saying? And she's repeating some of the stuff that I have, not even necessarily anything that's come out of my mouth, but stuff that I've heard and listened to in the car, and she repeats it. And it's not all the time, but you are right. She still has like she still does loads of like her, what she wants to do. Obviously she watches telly, she's got her iPad, she does all of these things and plays, and I take her out and stuff like that. But then at the same time, she's got this other part of her as well, because I just know that that's one of the things that I was probably missing when I was growing up. I needed a mentor to help me develop. And those little things now, which some people might think it's cruel, some people might think it's good, but I'll make her push herself out of the comfort zone now. So little things like, as an example, she used to be really, really shy, which obviously a lot of kids are shy. And the first thing I did was got her into modelling, because I knew it would give her more confidence. She doesn't do it now because she thinks it's boring, but it helps her with her confidence at the start. And then the other thing is, so like when she was first started nursery and then first started preschool, it's basically it's where she's going to be going to proper school. It's a private school, so you start from nursery and you work all your way up till when you're in secondary school, and then they'll move to a different school. And she was really, really nervous about meeting all of her classmates. And I said to her, like, what do you do when you're feeling nervous? And because I'd had these conversations with her before that, she went, just smile and say hello. So now I can tell when she's nervous, because it's about just pushing herself out your comfort zone, and she'll just smile and she goes, hello, and they go, hello. She's like, oh my God, they said hello back to me. It's like, yeah, that's what you need to do. So if she's nervous, she'll always say hi. And it's just about just pushing her that little bit, not too much, but just understanding, because I want her to be confident. I lacked a lot of confidence. Like, even if you looked at my social media way before I was working online, people always thought I had loads of confidence, and in some elements I did. Obviously my job, I knew I was good at what I did and things like that. I've always been into personal development, but I've always been a massive introvert. It's only been in the last few years where I've really started thinking, well, it actually holds me back in some way. So I can't always be, yes, I like my own space and I like not talking to people from time to time, but I don't get nervous about it anymore. But that's something that did hold me back when I was really, really young. I used to be a really, really shy kid. So that's something that I don't want for her. And now, like, there's little times where, like, if she's got an appointment and I need to pick her up early and I can see her playing and she's dead loud and she's like mingling with everybody, and that's what I want for her, because like when I was at school, I had lots of friends, but if they was not there, I was like, oh my gosh, like if like my best friend at the time, if she was off sick or something, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, do you know, that kind of thing. And I don't want that for her. I want her to be a sociable person. I want her to be outgoing and I want her to be confident. So even though she's just turned 4, I feel like we're making good progress with that.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so neat. Seeing, like I said, the next generation, and pushing her out of her comfort zone. Yeah, because everything begins there. And I mean, by the time she's like 14 or our age, everything will be at, like, there is no comfort zone at a certain point when you keep pushing yourself through it. It's like, well, I can do anything. So she's 100%. Already starting to do that, which is really, really neat to hear. Curious, for anyone listening and stuff, and this is what you do, so you don't have to go into it too far, but curious, is there one tip, because this is something like I get a lot of people asking me, is there one tip that you use beyond just getting out there lives, all that stuff, to grow your following so rapidly on social media?
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll give a couple of mini tips.
Okay.
I won't delve fully into it because
that's a whole different ballgame.
So
yeah.
But the main things are, the first thing is have some sort of theme. So if you look at mine, obviously I have my app, which is my name, but then I have my actual name. I don't have my name. It just says Mindset, Travel, Motherhood. So I will post about mindset stuff, travel stuff, and then being a mum. Obviously I will put the odd other lifestyle thing on there and everything. But I suppose the first thing to do is just to think about what you actually want to put out there. You don't want to be a jack of all trades, and everyone is passionate about something, and it can change. You don't always have to like just stick to it, so don't overthink it. I'd say maybe have a little bit of a journaling session around what you're trying to do. So if you're listening to this and you are an entrepreneur and you want to scale your business online, or you want to start to build up your engagement for something that you're about to launch or something like that, I would always say just make sure you've got something that you are passionate about, that you post about a lot. Like I said, I've got 2 businesses. I've got a mindset business and a travel business, and I've got a daughter. So it makes sense for me to post about travel. It makes sense to me to post about mindset, and it makes sense for me to post about my little girl. I've got a lot of solo parents and stuff who follow my social media who use that as inspiration for themselves. And I've got a podcast as well. That's an episode around being a new mum or a new dad and not putting your life on hold and things like that. So that helps a lot of people in that sense. So just find out like a bit, like niche it down a little bit. And just think about what you actually want to put out there. The second thing I'd say is posting with intention. So I won't just, unless it's on my stories, I don't care what I post on my stories, but on my grid, I will only post now like things that are either showing me and my life, because that's how I've grown my following, by people knowing me and getting to know me. But then I won't just post just like me having, I don't know, I don't drink coffee, but a hot chocolate, and I won't just post a picture of my hot chocolate and say, oh, like happy Sunday, like with a hot chocolate on, because it's not something that I would do. Does that make sense? Probably a bit of a rubbish example. Or I wouldn't go out and, like, I don't know, if I went to McDonald's, I wouldn't post a picture of my McDonald's on my grid and be like, Fat Fridays or something like that. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't do that because it doesn't match with my brand and what I'm trying to put out there. Back in the day, I did do stuff like that. I had to archive a lot of my stuff because I was like, this is just so irrelevant. I was posting it like after, like, had no concept of when to post in the day or anything for the highest engagement and things like that. And I'll just like post the most random things, or just like a point. Like another thing, what I'm not really a fan of, just posting random selfies with no caption, stuff like that. It's not really engaging. So post with intention. Yes, I will post selfies, but if you look at my selfies and read the caption, there's usually value that I'm giving or a reason why I'm posting it. For me, I like my grid to look pretty. So I try and keep it so it looks nice on the eye. But when you go into it and read the captions and you watch the reels and things, there's a lot of value in there. My stories is a completely different thing. I post anything on my stories. I post myself with no makeup on my stories. I'm like, obviously, like you mentioned that this is going on YouTube. Yay, no makeup. Do you know, that kind of thing? But I'm, like I said, I'll stumble my words. I post about my daughter. I post about my partner. I post about, then I will post like pictures of my meals and things like that on my stories. So I just think your stories, people need to get to know you, but then also business stuff as well. But yeah, those are the main things. I don't know if that's helping. So the first thing I'd say is have a bit of a 3 things that you're passionate about that you're going to post about more than the other stuff. The second thing is, I can't remember what I said now, posting with intention. So don't just post just for the sake of posting like a random selfie or your plate of your food on your grid for no reason on Instagram. Same on your Facebook, like just stick to the normal things. And then the last thing I'd say is being engaging. So I reply to every single message that I get. I respond, well, I do my best to respond to every single comment on my pictures. I will follow other similar people who are sharing mindset value and the things that are about my page. So I will post people who like to travel. I will like follow people who like to travel. I will follow people who are into mindset stuff, because then they're going to follow me back. Or I'll follow other mothers or fathers. As I look at my page, I'm like, oh, she's a mum. Oh, she's doing this. Oh, she's doing that. So those are things that I would say as in like generic tips. But then the main tip is you have to just get used to being uncomfortable, like I said, and just putting yourself out there. I post a lot. I post consistently. And I do live video and things like that. But obviously that was when like once I knew what I wanted to talk about and stuff. But if anyone is genuinely struggling with that and they do want a bit more of a deeper dive into how more of that works, there is something that I am planning. Like when it launches and stuff, I've got no idea when it's going to be, but I've planned it in my head around like a little bit of a social media workshop, just the stuff that I've done. And then, like I said, I do help people with the social media. In terms of just building the personal brand, I'm not saying that I'm an Instagram whiz kid or anything like that. I just know what's worked for me. There's loads of accounts out there with loads more engagement, loads more followers than what I've got. But I'm just doing what works for me, essentially. And they'll find their own way of doing it. But the first thing is just start and just be consistent and just post about things that a what you want to post about in terms of your 3 things that you've picked, as opposed to just your food or a random thing or a random selfie with no value.
Yeah, no, that's so much gold. And like I said, we'll be posting your IG and your podcast and stuff in the notes so people can follow you and reach out to you, which I strongly encourage. In wrapping up, I have 3 final questions I like to ask. And then, if you just something you want to share before you wrap up. My first question is, if there's someone out there that's listening right now, which a lot of people are like this, they don't know their purpose in life. What advice in 1 sentence would you give them on how to find their purpose in life?
I suppose the first thing is journaling. So you have to ask yourself the questions: what do I want to do? Who do I want to be? And just get used to just throwing some ideas on paper. Another way that you can do it, which one of my older coaches told me, like someone who used to coach me a few years back, was draw a stick man or a stick woman on a piece of paper with loads of lines coming off it, and then on each line put like what you want to be, but make sure it's a lot more than what you are. So I had, as an example, a podcast host on mine, but I had no idea how to record a podcast. I had no idea what I was going to talk about at that time. I had no idea that I was even really going to do it. But I just thought, it'd be nice to do a podcast. It'd be nice to do this. It'd be nice to do this. And then as long as you start doing it more and more, you start thinking bigger. So the first thing I'd say is just do that. Also, if someone is, I know this is more than 1 line, I do apologize, I talk a lot, but if someone is genuinely struggling with it, then I suppose the other easiest way is just to reach out. I'm happy to, like I said, I reply to people. I'm happy to share some value. I might have even done a podcast or a live on that subject as well, about finding your purpose. So if someone wants to message me and say like, oh, have you done a live? Have you done a podcast on this? I say, yeah, actually it's this one. I'll send them a link and they can listen to it.
Well, that's awesome. I love that. That's so much value. Second question is, what's your favorite quote and why?
There's so many. I suppose the one that springs to mind, it's not even my favorite quote. It's just the quote that's in my head because I watched, what's it called? King Richard last night. Was it called King Richard? No. What is it now? No, King Richard, I think it is, or something like that. Do you know this Serena and Venus Williams, the tennis players?
Okay, yeah.
It was about that, a film about that. I can't remember what it was called now. But the one that, because I watched it last night, and if you've not watched it, oh my gosh, watch it, because you get value from that film. It's not just like a funny film. It's actually a film that you actually learn from. And it's just the one that stands in my head from from watching that yesterday was prepare to fail. And I'm not saying that in a sense of you have to be really, really, really prepared for all your ideas before you actually go along with your idea, but just setting yourself up the best that you can. So how that links into what I do is you need to get used to handling adversity, and you need to get used to overcoming adversity in challenging situations and pushing yourself out your comfort zone. And that's what I mean in regards to preparation, or that's what that quote means to me. It's a really, really simple one, not something that is going to be like, oh, mind blowing, I've never heard that before. Everyone's heard that quote, but that's what it means to me. And like I said, those are the 2 main things that people have to get used to overcoming challenging situations. Like one of the things that people say to me is, oh, you're so strong and you're this, you're that. And it's like, I've had to develop my mindset. I wasn't always like this, but I know that a challenging situation helps you grow, and obviously pushing yourself out your comfort zone helps you grow. And I suppose it's preparing for anything through your personal development journey, if that makes sense.
That's so good. Yes. And the last question is, what's one word or sentence that you want on your gravestone?
Passionate. Yeah, I suppose, because there's probably loads of things that I'd want in it, but the one that springs to mind, I'd say passionate. And it's because anyone can be passionate about anything, but not everyone's passionate about anything because they're worried about what other people think of them. And they're worried about being rejected by society and things like that. A bit like me when I was scared of doing live video. I wasn't scared of doing the live video, I was scared of people thinking I was a weirdo for doing live video and getting negative comments in the live video, and people sharing, thinking, oh, who's this person thinks she is, and stuff like that. So I was scared of what other people were doing. Because I had an underlying passion and desire to do it anyway, that's why I pushed through. So anyone who is passionate about something, whether it's a thing that people know they're passionate about or not, they need to just go and do it. 100%, whatever it is. Some people say that whatever you wanted to be as a kid, like, do that. Which doesn't align with me a little bit, because I didn't know I wanted to be a mindset coach when I was a kid, but I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Does that make sense? So
totally
it's been weird how it's done that full circle, but because I didn't have, like, I wasn't ready at that time, I didn't have like the mentorship at that time, I've had to go on my own journey, which is now I launched my first business at, well, I don't know how old I was, I can't even do maths, I'm really thick at maths. I don't know, I'm 33 now, and birthday's in August, so I was either 31 or something when I started off it. I don't know, whatever, I don't know. But it just goes to show that you can just start at any time. People think, oh, I've not done anything in my 20s, and you hear about billionaire like teenagers or millionaire teenagers or people in their early 20s who are super, super successful. That's amazing, but you're dealt the cards you're given, and you need to use those cards not as an excuse, but to do what you want to do. So if you are passionate about something enough, you need to start doing that passion, whatever it is. It could be literally anything at all. Someone actually said to me, which was really, really random, I can't remember the course that she started doing, but basically she was in two minds, whether she works in corporate, she wanted to do a business degree to develop more in the corporate world, similar to what I did, because she looks at me and other people who've seen success that way. She's thought, that's what I should be doing. I should do a business degree and all of this stuff. But then after listening to one of my podcasts, she turned around to me and she said, do you know what? I can't remember the course, what it's called. She went, I was going to do a business degree at uni, but what I've decided to do now is learn how to resuscitate lizards. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I'm going to do something to do with lizards and reptiles, and I'm going to learn how to look after them and be like a bit like a vet, but for reptiles. And I was like, how random, but so good. And she's like, yeah, I'm doing it, I can't wait to start. And I was like, what the heck?
That's so cool.
Like that, she just thought, you know what, why should I do a business degree just because other people do business degrees who've been successful in the corporate world? Like, why should I do one? And she's just gone off and done her own thing, and what she does with that, I've got no idea what she's going to do with that, but it's just about doing what you're passionate about and doing what you love, and not being bothered about people thinking you're a bit weird or a bit different. It's actually good to be weird and different. Another podcast I've done is about being weird and different, and how you just need to embrace that and just roll with it, essentially.
That's so good. I really, really, really appreciate this time. I know your listeners will have got a lot of value. We could go on, I can tell, for a long time. We'll have to have you back on down the road and have like where you've gone and where you've changed over a couple of years and stuff like that. That would be really cool.
Yeah, 100%. Because if someone's listening to this in even 6 months from now, from them listening to it at this point, I'll be a completely different person in 6 months. I'll be a completely different person in 12 months. Over 12 months, gosh knows, like who knows. Not a different person in the sense of my character, just a completely different level of growth. Yeah. I always say, like, it's quite recent when I started a podcast. So my podcast episodes are all quite similar now in terms of, because I've not really had that much development time yet whilst doing them. But I know that if I look back at them, I'll re-listen so many years' time, a bit like my live videos. I'm going to be like, oh my God, I sounded awful.
So bad, yeah.
Well, that's what I mean, but it's just part of the journey. So yeah, I would love to do that in, like, say, another 6 to 12 months, and then just see what's going on then.
I love that.
And it's about people, yeah, because people need to understand that it doesn't matter what level you're at in your life, or what, not that it's in anyone's at different levels, but in terms of your own journey, wherever you are at in that journey, if you just start and you're consistent, you can be in a completely different place in 6 months' time, and 12 months' time and beyond. And the time's going to pass anyway, so you may as well invest in your own personal development.
That's so true. So be consistent, guys. Do the work and just start with something. If you haven't done anything, start with something. It'd be 5 minutes a day. Just start with something, and things start to change. So, make sure you're out there today. Make sure you're out there making a difference today. Go change a life, and you never know what tomorrow will bring. So keep doing everything that you can to help other people. And thank you, Rebecca, again for being on this podcast. Guys, make sure to follow her. Thanks.
Thank you so much.